Wir schauen uns jetzt an. Rick Owens answers question on queer culture, punk gigs and sex clubs und much more. Let's see. Broski macht wenige Interviews, deswegen schauen wir uns mal an, was er zu sagen hat.
There is a beautiful scene of Christine wearing beautiful hand-knotted feather coat while Michelle is flying over her and they're kissing, and I'm below both of them on my knees with Christine pissing in this long, graceful arc of...
Achso, ja. Kann ich euch nicht zeigen jetzt, aber man kann es im Internet finden. So, und für Rick Owens LRF2 muss ich natürlich Research machen und muss es mir mal angucken, weil ich habe ja über Christine gesprochen, ich habe ja über Rick gesprochen, ich habe ja über Michelle gesprochen und dafür muss man sich das mal angucken. It's crazy.
Urinating into my mouth. Hi, ID. I'm Rick Owens. I have received these delicious questions from delicious people, so I'm going to start. Okay, the first one is from Chris Van Ash. Chris is the loveliest
auch ein crazy Designer, hat ja eine lange Zeit auch Dior gemacht und war auch der Schüler von Eddie Somon, beziehungsweise die rechte Hand, bevor Eddie bei Dior abgehauen ist und Chris das dann übernommen hat. Und nach Chris hat das Kim, glaube ich, übernommen. Und ich habe sogar ein Piece von Chris Van Asch Eigenmarke. Sieht man auch selten.
Nicest guy. Hi Rick, I always felt we had the best meetings on Sundays at breakfast with my partner, who's also my stylist and consultant. What's it like working with your partner? Do you keep things strictly separated, or do you bring work home? My work is kind of my life. It's things on Sundays at breakfast with my partner, who's also my stylist and consultant. What's it
cool, nice.
like working with your partner? Do you keep things strictly separated, or do you bring work home? My work is kind of my life. There's not much of a separation.
Wisst ihr, was ich gerade abseits davon liebe, dass man natürlich, ne, Rick, Michelle, dass die zusammenarbeiten, you know, und dass die schon früh zusammenarbeiten. Diese Schultern, oh mein Gott, guckt mal, wie gut diese Schultern sind und wie schön die geschnitten sind. Max, wollte ich nur mal kurz nebenbei sagen.
I've always worked that way. It ends up being more honest and sincere and pure, so I don't even really know if it's work. It is life. My next delicious question is from Danielle Levitt. Okay, why do you write in all caps? I write in caps.
Das ist eine Geschichte aus seiner Jugend. Wegen einer Lehrerin war das.
Because everything comes out as kind of a proclamation, and there's kind of an artifice to it that's similar to a child speaking too loudly in church. To me, it's kind of just loud and cheery. But also, it just seems there is a tediousness from having to go back and forth from lowercase to uppercase. Just pick one. Matt Lambert. We have done beautiful work together. He was the director of Butt Muscle, by Christine, that
Also ehrlich, wenn ihr wirklich verrückte und skurrile Sachen lesen oder hören oder sehen wollt, gebt euch die Show von Christine oder lest über die Show von Christine, weil manche Sachen kannst du im Internet nicht sehen davon, glaube ich, aber du kannst die lesen. Und während ich es gelesen habe, dachte ich mir so, hä? What the fuck? What the fuck? Macht sie mit ihrem Ass und mit ihrer... Yeah, it's crazy.
And I did cameos in. If you could be a fly on a wall in anyone's bedroom, who would it be? Whoa, actually, I would have wanted to be there. Supposedly in Angie Bowie's book, she talks about going into the bedroom and finding David Bowie and Mick Jagger in bed together. That is the fly I would have
What the fuck?
wanted to be. Like, what actually happened? All right. Sissy Misfit, I found online, where I find a lot of stuff.
Einfach Rick liest wie so eine alte Omi, wie so ein alter Dad. Er muss schon so machen. Bro's old.
Instagram the best thing. When I work with young people, I'm very conscious of the fact that they could feel exploited, because I've been there and I know that kind of vulnerability. And with Sissy, if she was apprehensive, she didn't show it. I hope she enjoyed working together as much as I did. Hey Rick, loved working on the Dr. Martens collab. How did you find breaking the boundaries between the two brands and incorporate two visions in one? I don't know if they're all that separate. Dr. Martens was something I experienced in my youth. Those shoes always represented this kind of masculine vitality. Guys flying through the air in those boots and like the smell of piss and beer, which made it even more exciting and titillating. Because there was a lot of homoeroticism there. Sissy Misfit's second question. Also, if you can find yourself in an imaginary dystopian scenario for one day and experience it without getting hurt, what would that be? I like the idea of reminding myself how insignificant I am by being in the middle of nature, by being in the middle of an ocean or being at the sea.
Ich sag ehrlich, das hatte ich einmal in Marokko. Ich habe ja eine lange Marokko-Reise gemacht gehabt. Und da war ich mit meinen Freunden am Meer und wir standen auf so einem Felsen. Wir haben kurz geschrien, weil wir waren ziemlich lang unterwegs. Aber auch du hast dieses riesige Meer gesehen vor dir, diese riesigen Felsen, auf denen du standest und du hast dich wirklich klein gefühlt. Und immer wieder zurück zu diesem Moment zu kommen, macht schon was mit einem. Deswegen kann ich das verstehen, dass das so sagt.
There is something very reassuring to remind yourself every once in a while. You need to take yourself out of your own trivial little problems and consider yourself as a speck. My next question is from Steven.
Stephen Jones, einer der größten Hutmacher oder Kopfbedeckungsmacher unserer Generation, würde ich sagen.
Michelle has been wearing Stephen Jones hats for years, and when I look back on pictures, I can kind of recall the era based on Stephen's pictures. And there was one era where she was wearing this black Comme des Garçons thing that kind of made her look like a black beetle with this hat of Stephen's that was kind of just this big black bow. Because Michelle is just like this barbaric little animal, and to stick a bow on top of her head was just the most perverse thing I could think of doing. And you know, it's not like Stephen did it to her. Michelle chose it. Stephen Jones, to me, Dr. Martens had a special sort of magic. Tell me about your relationship with them. I think I mentioned this the first time I did a press release for Dr. Martens. There's something, it's almost like a male corset. The way that they're laced up, it kind of, on the ankle, it creates this corset that leads up to the swell of a calf. And if the calf is well defined,
Habe ich noch nie so drüber nachgedacht.
it can be very effective. Claremont twins. Shannon, what?
Claremont twins, huh? Rick, huh? Wanna see that? Ricky.
The hardships of being who Rick is currently in today's time? I don't know if there are any. I'm having a great time. Sinead, if you weren't a designer, what would be your second dream job?
Wollte, also ich versuche zu erraten, was jetzt sagt, aber ich erinnere mich, dass Priester auch einer aus seiner Liste war.
Love to be the head gardener at the Vatican.
Fast. Aber ich weiß, dass Priester, er findet Priester super, super interessant. Er mag die Kirche nicht, aber er findet Priester super, super interessant.
Gwendolyn Christie. Gwendolyn Christie is the most formidable, wonderful.
Weil er die Art und Weise mit den Roben super interessant findet. Auch von Nonnen. Er mag das und das ist auch eine große Inspo für ihn gewesen.
Creature, isn't she? Which film would you have loved to have starred in? Wow, there's going to be a lot of Cleopatra, the Cecil B. DeMille version.
Das ist einer seiner Lieblingsfilme, ich erinnere mich.
The Night Porter, I would have loved to have been, well, I think I just wanted to be, who's the actress from The Night Porter? Famous. One of the most beautiful women ever. Charlotte fucking Rampling. Charlotte Rampling, Vanessa Redgrave, and Maggie Smith. I would have wanted to play any of their roles. Okay, Ricky Thompson. What
Der guckt auch diese Filme, glaube ich, regelmäßig, wenn ich mich richtig erinnere.
the craziest, most unique design you've ever designed? I was really happy with our handheld fog machines, or we had our we had the platform boots and had a little pocket that you could slot in a personal fog machine. We might not produce tons of it because making things like that are unusual takes research. It takes, you have to convince people to do it. It ends up just being an expensive whim on my part. I've known Rick.
Rick killed the other Rick. Er hat einfach, wenn ihr kennt, Rick Castro hat Rick Owens mal gedatet, eine Zeit lang. Rick Owens sagt nein, Rick Castro sagt ja, aber die hatten so einen Fling zumindest. Und Rick Castro hat bei Michelle gearbeitet und hat dann Rick Owens als Pattern Cutter empfohlen gehabt für Michelle. Und irgendwann hat Michelle Rick Castro gekickt und Rick Owens behalten. Crazy story.
Could it be 40 years? Rick Castro and I were close in Los Angeles, and our group of friends called him Bad Rick, and I was Good Rick. And I think that pretty much tells you everything. Hey Rick, it's Rick, how are you? He always sends him Bad Rick, and I...
Ihr müsst euch mal vorstellen, die haben ihn Bad Rick genannt, also Rick Castro, und Rick Owens Good Rick genannt. Obwohl Rick Owens zu dem Zeitpunkt wahrscheinlich massig Drogen genommen hat, super viel Alkohol getrunken hat, exzessiv, so dass er teilweise vergessen hat, wie er dort gelandet ist, wo er gelandet ist. Er ist nackt in seiner Kleinstadt, in seiner fucking Kleinstadt, ist er nackt auf dem Vorgarten seiner Eltern aufgewacht. Broski, also im Vorgarten seiner hochreligiösen, hochkatholischen Eltern aufgewacht mit Kotze vor sich. Und er war zu dem Zeitpunkt der Good Rick.
Good Rick. And I think that pretty much tells you everything. Hey Rick, it's Rick, how are you? He always sends his emails like that. Do you remember our lusty lost nights at the meat rack on Santa Monica Boulevard in Silver Lake? Or is it all a haze? By the way, the Spotlight Bar reopened last week as a hipster DJ club. Thoughts? You know, I actually don't remember nights at the meat rack with him. I remember them on my own and with another friend, and I don't remember, we must have run into each other at the meat rack. The meat rack was a concrete bunker next to a Safeway supermarket, kind of in Silver Lake, and it was a warren of concrete rooms and corners for sex. It had a
Yep, that's Rick Owens for you.
Distinctive smell. It had a good soundtrack. It had a pretty good mix of people. I do remember it wasn't that much of a haze. Well, I'm going to leave that to your imagination. I mean, that's because this is a family magazine. And by the way, the spot.
Bro hat keine Angst vor STDs. Doch, ehrlich gesagt, hat Rick Angst vor STDs, weil er auch oft sagt, ey, guck mal, ich war in Sexclubs, ich war in so Sexbars und so weiter und so fort, aber ich war immer noch der ruhigste dort. Und dass auch zu dem Zeitpunkt viele Freunde an HIV und so verstorben sind. So, und dass ihm das Angst gemacht hat. Deswegen, der Broski hat Angst davor.
The Spotlight Bar reopened last week as a hipster DJ club. Shit. The Spotlight Bar, it opened at 6 in the morning. For your first early morning cocktail, and
6 in the morning für deinen Cocktail, that's crazy.
I was witness to a lot of fights there, and I remember this one fight. Some guy ended up on top of this other guy, and the guy underneath was punching at him, but the guy on top was punching the guy underneath, but he was also at the same time dragging him towards the door. It was kind of like this double spider making its way out the door. That was one of the most beautiful fights I've ever seen in my life. Next question is Vaginal Davis. Vaginal Davis, she is one of our grand dames of...
Ihr müsst mal wirklich diese Shows von seinen Freunden angucken oder mal lesen.
Subculture of that generation. She had bands called Pedro, Muriel, and Esther. She had zines.
Ihr wisst, ihr kennt Rick anscheinend nicht. Rick hat andere Lifestyle gelebt. Rick hat anders auch Drugs genommen. No joke. Es gibt diese, wenn ich diese Story finden würde, das wäre so crazy. Ich würde gerne diese Story finden. Wer LF gelesen hat, weiß, ja, ist geil sogar. Ihr müsst LF ruhig holen. LF 2, Rick's Stories sind crazy. Er ist so betrunken aufgewacht, dass er dachte, dass er entweder geträumt hat, dass er jemanden überfahren und vergraben hat. Bro, wie betrunken kannst du sein, dass du glaubst, dass du jemanden getötet hast?
She had art galleries and just beautiful,
Look at them eyes, they saw stuff.
Vaginal. When are you going to do a collection based on the delicious persimmon cookies your gorgeous late mother Connie used to bake? Love and kisses, Tante Vag. I hadn't really considered it, but you're right. I did actually publish the recipe for the persimmon cookies online. Either the persimmon cookies she used to make or the lemon cookies she used to make. We make them for the showroom because Mom used to do that. Dad used to pick the persimmons from their persimmon trees in the backyard in Porterville, and together they would make persimmon cookies to send to Los Angeles for our showroom. We're
Oh, wie süß.
continuing the tradition. Of course, now they're vegan and gluten-free. Bruce LaBruce, which punk venues did you hang out in LA in the late 70s and 80s? Did you wear Doc Martens back then? If so, how many holes and what colored laces? And did you slam dance and mosh in the mosh pit? And if
Habt ihr Rick schon mal tanzen sehen? It's kind of funny. Was heißt funny? Aber man sieht so, der Boy ist in the moment. Sehr gut. Und er tanzt immer so. Wieder im Club am Dancen ist und sich am Enjoyen ist, living life. Carefree.
so, did you get a hard on while doing so? I feel like there was a skating rink in the valley that we would go to for some things. What other venues? There, oh my God, there was the Starlight, and that was kind of a glorious place. And I did slam dance. It's not like I was, I got fucked up too. I still have a scar on my nose because I got hit in the nose with somebody's boot. And for the sake of mythology, I'm pretty sure it was a Doc Marten boot. And yes, I did get a hard on. My next question is from David Hoyle. Divine David. Divine David is Queer History 101. And
Das sind alles auch so seine close friends, ne?
it's great because you can go back on YouTube and see every one of his episodes of Divine David that he was doing on cable TV, I think in the UK. His delirious, reckless expression. It's such a great lesson. It's such a great lesson in not taking your life or yourself too seriously. Be delirious like Divine David. I have been fortunate to enjoy hospitality on a number of occasions at your Paris Maison. Once when I was in the company of the photographer Lee Baxter and I was wearing a sequined top, you sauntered over and said, "David, sequins at brunch? What is your current policy regarding the wearing of sequined garments at brunch?" Oh, I endorse it wholeheartedly. I was probably saying it like in an admiringly and gratefully for bringing sequins to the house at brunch. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Wait, love Rick more than alive. Wishing you all the very best. Any probs, call me 07. Call David. Rick has helped so many artists, particularly those deemed underground or fringe, i.e. poor. Total admiration to this genius. Yeah, David is a treasure. A treasure. Wait, this is fun. I didn't really know you guys were gonna do this. I was not prepared for this at all. I had no idea this was happening. This is the sweetest thing. Ludovic de Saint-Cernan. Hey Rick, so I have two questions for you. The first one is
Eigentlich ein Up-and-Comer-Designer mal gewesen, aber irgendwie wurde er nicht so appreciated und ist jetzt schon wieder weg, ne, vom Fenster.
very deep. What is a life lesson that you wish you learned sooner? I have a couple of them, and I thought about this the other day. One, get over yourself. Two, hope for the best but plan for the worst. And three, don't expect life to be fair. Those are kind of my
that. Amen. Don't expect life to be fair. Amen to that.
mottos. And the second one is a little lighter. Both you and I get really obsessed with our diets, and I wanted to know, what is your current food obsession?
Der hat, glaube ich, auch eine Zeit lang einfach sich regelmäßig Daily Eis geballert, so, weißt du? Also Eiscreme.
I think he's more obsessed with his diet than I am. He's more disciplined. I am just one big sloppy slut. I just like cake, sugar, cheeseburgers, milkshakes. I'm a slut. Constantine Kalutas. I reached out to Constantine, and at the time she was working with transforming her body into these organic organisms. She made these masks that I was completely smitten
What?
with, taking your personal discomfort and manipulating it poetically into something else. What would you have done differently if you were building your brand from the start now? Would the advance of technology and social media spaces influence your decisions? I don't know if they would, because everything that I'm doing is very, very classical and it's almost primordial. I don't know how I would take advantage of it. It looks really hard to do now. There are so many voices. I was lucky enough to make my personal statement at a time when there was a little tiny bit of space around me for like 3 seconds for enough people to register who I was and what I was doing. I don't know how you have that space
Aber er ist
around
schon
you
gut, die
now. I
Support
don't know how
bekommen.
anybody can
Also
make that kind of
nicht
impact.
Support, doch Support und Recognition. Erst von Michelle, dann von einem Store in LA und dann von Vogue. Der hat schon ziemlich zügig so Steps, dicke Steps gemacht.
With so much energy out there. Like I said before, life is not fair. You really do have to be at the right place at the right time, and you can't always completely control that. Next question. Tommy Cash. Tommy Cash was another Instagram.
Tommy Cash kennt ihr alle bestimmt, weil ihr dieses Foto kennt von dem, wo der mit diesem Kopfkissen und dieser Decke chillt während der Show. Also der ist draußen unterwegs und hat irgendwie... ich zeig's euch, damit ihr checkt. Das kennt ihr bestimmt.
And first of all, I loved the music. The music had a pounding aggression that I'm always looking for. Oh, there was one song, Pussy Money Weed. Pussy Money Weed? Is that the name of it? Yeah, Pussy Money Weed. It was such a great song, and I asked him if I could remix it for one of my shows. And that has been one of the best mixes that we have ever done. Tommy Cash, leave only one of your collections and all the other ones will be deleted from history. Which one and why? That is a hardcore question. I guess probably the last one, and the only reason I say that is because the one that's most fresh feels like it's kind of summarized everything that you've ever done. Yeah, I think that's why it would be, although I would hate to see some of the other ones deleted. This question stresses me the fuck out. Fecal Matter I reached out to on Instagram, and Fecal Matter have committed themselves so beautifully to their aesthetic. You know, they say that there's no subcultures in this generation, but I feel like Fecal Matter is part of what we have that's closest to a subculture, and that they are pioneers of it. Steven.
Es gibt schon ein bisschen Subkultur noch.
Rick, when you're out in public, do you often get hostile reactions or stares to your everyday look? If so, how do you deal with it, or does it not even faze you? I had to have when I was young, and I think I got used to it. Obviously, my whole life is a reaction
U-Bahn, das
to
muss man ehrlich sagen. Es gibt ja viele Leute, die sich zu etipetät sind, zu hart, zu wichtig, dies, das fühlen. Und er hat das Geld. Er könnte jeden Tag mit einem Fahrer von A nach B nach Paris fahren, aber der fährt einfach U-Bahn. Der läuft einfach zu seinem Fitnessstudio. He doesn't give no two fucks.
And to intolerance. And everything that I do is about blurring the lines of intolerance, blurring the lines of what's acceptable, providing options. I'm not burning anything down, but I am just saying we have other options available for people who don't kind of conform to the standard, very limited standards of beauty. Now, I suppose I get stares, but I'm also at an age where I'm not questioned that much, I think. Or, you know, I could just be completely oblivious. I don't really know. Hannah, Rick, what's your least favorite part of the fashion industry? What grinds your gears? I guess there is a certain amount of phoniness that kind of discourages me. But there's phoniness in every industry, and there's phoniness in every corner of life. You know, I'm sure I could be accused of phoniness at times too, so that's something I try and watch out for. But you know, I can fuck up. Next question. Doc Demure. I don't see him as much as I'd like to. He doesn't get to Paris Chad was always, like fecal matter, committed to his look, committed to his aesthetic. He walked the walk, and he believed in what he was saying. Hi, Rick. As you know, sobriety has completely saved and transformed my life. What does sobriety mean to you, and how do you navigate it on a daily basis? And what sacrifices do you find that you have to make to sustain true joy? Love you. He's referring to when I stopped drinking when I was 40, because I was
Also er hat aufgehört zu trinken, einmal wegen dieser Situation da und weil sein Körper auch, er musste das Fitness, er war nie regelmäßig im Fitnessstudio, er konnte nie regelmäßig trainieren. Und ich erinnere mich, dass Michelle ihn da auch nochmal in die Richtung gepusht hat und dann er regelmäßig trainieren gegangen ist und sein Körper jetzt so aussieht, wie er aussieht.
complete messy alcoholic. But that was a really different period of my life. I was so ambitious. I had a fire in my belly. I was hitting my head against the wall. I was just meeting dead ends. I wasn't making the progress that I wanted. And it took a lot of aggression to expose myself and to go out there and to push and to promote myself and to insist that people recognize the validity of what I was saying and want it. So drinking helped. I mean, I kind of had to drink. Life is a lot different now, and I don't need those things, so I don't lack them. And I mean, I have plenty of addictions. I mean, I smoke, I drink coffee. I have to have a certain amount of cake a day. So I
Ja, Bro, überleg mal, er braucht genug Kuchen am Tag, ist crazy take.
my addictions, and I've learned to accept them. God, thank you, ID. That was kind of a real blessing today. I didn't expect this. That was nice.
Okay, happy to hear that was nice for Rick. Wir konnten noch mal ein bisschen von Rick hören und seiner Perspektive, seinem Leben. Und ja, always nice to hear und zu außergewöhnlichen Köpfen reinzuschauen. Finde ich schon interessant.